All right, welcome in for another episode of the Lowdown Sports Show, where we get to low down on all things basketball.
Heck yeah.
I'm your host, Drew,
I'm BJ.
and we have got a lot to talk about here today. This show is also brought to you by T Public and Fanatics.
Yeah.
A lot here on the show today, BJ. I mean, as we always say, there's a lot. I mean, I guess there's actually not a lot today, but some firm topics that we can dig into. NBA Finals are here as we somehow are halfway through the year, BJ. I mean,
I
we're
mean,
we're
not
in
not
June
quite.
now.
We're
I mean,
almost.
we're in the last month of the halfway point.
Yeah. I was gonna say. I mean, once you get to the end of June, you get to that halfway mark, and then all of a
Hmm.
sudden it's Independence Day, then it's like Christmas in July, and then all of a sudden
Hmm. And
it's
my
football
birthday,
season. Yeah, I was about to say
football
your
season.
birthday, football season, and then before
Yeah,
you know it, you blink and it's Christmas and New Year, Thanksgiving, and you're like, where did 2023 go? Well,
right.
not hearing like when we get to December, we're gonna look back and like, man, the last 6 months just flew by.
Just a flying by,
Yeah.
BJ. But what's not going to fly by is these finals. They're spaced out about 2 or 3 games apart, so we'll be watching that for about a week and a half. We'll have at least another episode before these finals are over, most likely, unless there's a
Yeah.
magical sweep. But we had some coaching hires, and you lost that wager about which one of those coaches was going to get hired first.
It's a good thing that I didn't actually put any money on it,
Yeah,
but
it is.
we I've got some thoughts on it. I know you do too.
Hmm.
We'll
We,
definitely
we,
talk
we had,
about that.
had some Miami Heat heroics from Caleb Martin. We're going to talk about that undrafted player. And
Hmm.
some WNBA action. The Aces, a super dominant start. Defending champs looking like
Hmm.
they're ready to run it back, BJ. And
Yep.
there's some key milestones for some of these legendary players that are coming up in the W and some that have just been in the league a while as they continue to climb up the ladder. We're going to see if we can latch on to some of those milestones and talk about some that some of these players are approaching, but plenty on tap. And when you're ready to go, we'll start with that NBA stuff.
Yeah, I'm Ray Drew, and I know we kind of didn't mention it, but I feel like we have to go back a little bit because you and I were talking last time we recorded about what was going to happen in the series. I think we were it was 3-1 at that point. Boston had just won in Miami to force Game 5, and they were going back to Boston. You said Miami was going to finish it off then and there. I said I didn't think so. I thought it was going back
Hmm.
to Miami. It did go back to Miami,
Hmm.
and they went back to Boston because of Derek White, who rebounded a missed jumper from Marcus Smart with less than a second to go. In fact, less than half a second, Drew. Based on like different angles, it was either about 3/10 or 2/10 of a second to go. But Derek White, who inbounded the ball, was paying attention the whole entire time, got there, got the rebound, put it back up before the buzzer sounded, and the Celtics improbably win a game 6 in Miami. And that leads to game 7, where everything just fell apart. And I guess for me, before we talk about what the player that you mentioned in the open and his heroics and his performance, do you think that the Celtics went a little too hard celebrating game 6 victory, thinking we got this. We got this at home. We got the opportunity. We just won game 6. We're flying on top of the world right now. Nobody can stop us. And then they stop themselves. Is that what you think happened?
No, I mean you definitely deserve to be flying on top of the world a little bit after Game 6, and the fashion in which you won the game, and
Hmm.
put yourself in position to be one of the few teams that have even come back to force a Game 7.
Yeah,
So
just
I
the
mean you
fourth
should
team all time.
yeah, you should be excited about it. And it was definitely one where you saw players at the podium, they couldn't even believe what had just happened. It still hadn't hit them. So
Yeah,
I mean, the real caveat was Jason Tatum's ankle.
yeah, that's
The real
true.
problem we didn't even get to see, like, could this be the first time? And I mean, that was a team that could have done it. Part of the problem, for the Celtics in that game was having to give more of the duties of playmaking to Jalen Brown, and he turned the
Hmm.
ball over at a
Yeah, it was
historic
bad. It
number
was
for the
bad.
Celtics in a Game 7. It was like 7 or 8 turnovers, most in Celtics Game 7 history.
Yeah.
And Tatum was just a shell of himself from the moment he rolled his ankle on the very first play of the game.
Yeah,
So I mean, it was pretty much all she wrote from that point. The Celtics were going to be competitive. They had that fire from Game 6 and from their comeback that they were trying to form. But once your superstar goes down, he's not quite the same in any form really, because that ankle is going to hamper things on both ends of the floor, and he's a two-way.
yeah,
So that just
absolutely.
all the more difficult for the Celtics to push through.
Eight turnovers for Jalen Brown in that Game 7 loss, and it just, I mean, you really do feel like maybe it would have been a little bit different if Jason Tatum played at full strength, but I don't know if it would have. Drew, I really
I
think
mean,
that. I mean, I know we can talk about it and say that that is, definitely a factor, and I think it is. I think it's a big factor, but I really, even if Tatum was fully healthy, the way that the rest of the team was performing, even before the like just kind of where they were coming from, I don't know if they win that game if his ankle stays healthy. I really don't. I'm not sure if I really, kind of bought them as, going to win the series after they fell behind 3-0. But the fact that they even got back in that spot is a testament, as we've said.
I was honestly rolling with them to go through with it and win it once they got to that point, just because of momentum's sake. I mean, they had all the
Hmm.
momentum in
Yeah,
the world, and it kind of rolled off the earth when Tatum rolled his ankle. But
yeah,
Um, I think it might have been a little different. You had to account for what Tatum was going to bring to you in a game seven.
hmm,
You saw what he's already done in a game seven in these
yeah,
playoffs. So I mean, he could have done that same type of thing again, or if he was even moderately hot, you have to change up your game plan a little bit. And who knows if there's going to be that more. That much added confidence for Caleb Martin while Tatum is hobbled out there to get as hot as he did.
yeah. I was
Um,
just about to say, even if Tatum doesn't get his ankle hurt, if Caleb Martin still has that kind of game as he did, then the
mhm.
Heat win that game. Even if Tatum's 100% fully healthy, because I mean,
Oh,
he stepped up. He
I
had
don't, I don't, I don't,
a huge game.
I don't know. That's a little spicy one to say there. Even if Tatum is fully healthy, because two-way Tatum, that's a real problem out there. Caleb could still get those points, and I think
Yeah,
Tatum make that a much more
he
close situation to whether the Celtics can come away with that or not. But as that camera decides to fail.
uh,
But
just give
yeah,
it a second.
the
There it is.
Celtics, they could have been that team to do that and make that comeback had Tatum been healthy. And I think Caleb Martin still could have had a good game, but they
Yeah,
might have changed think philosophies and game plans changed when the injury happened. More duties to Jalen Brown and Marcus Smart, and less on Tatum. If Tatum's out there, it's still the same type of thing. Tatum leads the way. Brown
hmm,
gets in where he can, and so does Tatum or Smart and everybody else. And then Martin may have to worry about defending Tatum more. The
yeah,
shots may not get up as often in that case, but either
yeah.
way, he could have still been hot for the game. But I think Tatum would have been a big difference just because he's a two-way player
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
absolutely. I'm not saying that he wouldn't have been, but I do agree that Caleb Martin had a better game because Tatum was hobbled. But I mean, if he was able to, if he was able to kind of have that confidence and whatnot, and still have a similar performance even with Tatum at full strength, I mean, it really was just. I mean, outside of Tatum being fully healthy, you just didn't get a whole lot rest from the rest of the team. Derek White gave you 18. Jalen Brown gave you 19 points, but 8 turnovers, which counteracted that. But I mean, you've got 17 between Horford and Smart combined, and the bench. You take what? I mean, that's 16. I think 16 points coming off the bench
Yeah. And
from
for
four
Caleb,
players.
he had been doing it in the comeback too, so it wasn't just a game seven thing. That's why I was
Hmm.
saying that he probably still would have been hot either way, but.
Yeah,
Who knows? We'll never get to
we'll
find
never
out.
know. Yeah,
Never get to find out. And it ended the same way it did, however many times in a row people had lost from being down 3-0. So
fourth time in NBA history that a team had come back from down 3-0 to force a game seven, and they are 0-4. But we were
uh,
we were really close to seeing what the memes would have looked like when we talked about that a couple of weeks back in our With It or Quit It episode. But
yep,
it was not meant to be. But what was meant to be is well, get some microwaves out because we're going to heat up some nuggets, Drew.
yep. We got some Nuggets versus Heat in the finals, BJ, and these teams have a brief history. If you recall 2021, BJ, do you remember when these teams had a little altercation.
And no, I'd completely forgotten about that, Drew.
Ooh.
Honest.
Well, the player that was, a part of it is no longer on this team, and I believe that was what it was. I don't want to say Markeith Morris or Marcus Morris,
With Morris
whichever one of the
boys.
Morris twins was on the Heat. Was when that shove happened. Um, okay, here it is. It's
Yeah,
Markeith
that's right.
Morris, a foul on Jokic as he pushed him down, and I don't know if you ever saw the meme of when Jimmy Butler and the Heat paid a visit or tried to pay a visit to the Nuggets locker room. Yeah, it's the thumbnail on this episode over on YouTube and Facebook. You guys can check that out. But yeah, there claims to be no beef from Jimmy Butler with Jokic after the altercation back in 2021. BJ, do you believe that? Or are you gonna see we're gonna see some smoke out there between the Heat and the Nuggets?
I don't think you're going to see anything, at least to start off. Now there might be something that develops in a competitive, intense, kind of series that I imagine this one could be. But at least starting off, I really don't. I really do believe that there is no hard feelings or anything like that. Like you said, for Jokic, he has no reason to feel like he would be targeted. The guy that he had beef with a couple of years ago is not on the team anymore. And I mean, knowing Jokic, he's kind of one of those guys that he doesn't hold grudges, years on end or whatnot. From what I've seen, I don't think that he's had any kind of similar beef or interaction with Markieff Morris since that altercation back in 21. And that's kind of why I think I forgot about it, Drew, because I mean, you saying that, I did remember once you kind of like, put the background details back in. I was like, oh yeah, it just, you didn't really hear much of it after that. And so I think that I really don't think there's any beef there, at least starting off. Now, let's see how competitive and physical this series ends up becoming. And then, maybe there will be a little bit of some verbal spars, and maybe, a little bit of, well, hey, don't get that close. Come on. You can talk it up all you want, but, respect each other's space and everything like that. But I believe him. I don't think there's any beef.
Yeah, and there's no beef, at least between him and Jokic. Jimmy
Yeah.
Butler says he wasn't talking to Jokic. That wasn't his beef. Says, "quote I don't think so." Butler said when asked if there's bad blood between the teams. I think there's a lot of stuff about the whole situation that people don't understand. And I'll let that stay back there, but I don't think it has too much to do with anything. It's in the past, high level competition. I will say I wasn't talking to Jokic. That wasn't my beef. The individual who I was talking to definitely knew who I was talking to.
Hmm. And it sounds like that individual's no longer on the team from the
I
sounds of
don't
it.
know.
Maybe,
He might be. Might still be on
maybe,
the team.
maybe,
I
maybe.
feel like I don't know. Would Jimmy Butler have named him if he wasn't on the team? I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
feel
Maybe
like
maybe he wouldn't have, because I
I
mean,
don't know.
even if he's not on the team, if he's still in the league, you don't want to necessarily, start something else up with that player. I mean,
Right.
it's kind of one of those things that's like, I mean, they're at the end of the day, they are still, just wanting to kind of keep things, keep respect the peace a little bit, if you will. So I don't think there's really any beef there, at least right now.
Right. Well, BJ, who's the biggest matchup in this series? Do you think that is going to be the most crucial benefactor of who wins and loses?
I can't wait to see Jimmy Butler and Jamal Murray. I'm looking
Hmm.
forward to this matchup. I think the most out of all of them. I mean, I like Bam trying to stop Jokic, but I really don't think there's so much of an answer for him. But when you do, if you do try to focus your attention on Jokic, we've seen Murray come up in the playoffs and make some big shots and really come alive again in the playoffs, just like he did in the bubble. And so it's really going to be interesting, because you're seeing like these two players seemingly, not just this season, but going back the past couple of years when they've both been healthy and playing in the postseason, have just taken over the playoffs. And really, it's the Hemi Butler bucket show, or it's Bubble Murray is back in prime form or something like that. That's what we keep hearing and seeing anytime these players have great performances in the playoffs, and having them go square off head to head is going to be awesome. I feel like, and another thing that I don't think is really being talked about as much is that Miami wasn't supposed to be here, if we're being honest, Drew. And the fact of the matter is that by the time they get home, they're going to have Tyler Hero back. He should be at least back for those
Hopefully.
Miami games. That's what at least the what how it's leaning right now.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a big addition. They've been able to make this run without having one of their key contributors off the bench. I mean, if they can steal a game on the road, watch out, because if they get Tyler Hero back with momentum, even if the series is even going back to Miami, that doesn't phase them. And Lord have mercy, if you're Denver, don't let them go up 2-0 in your home court, because it's over. It's over at that point. I really do believe that after
I
what
don't,
we've seen this playoffs. I can't say anything to the contrary.
I don't see that happening though, BJ. I
I
don't see
don't either.
Miami grabbing two in Denver.
I can absolutely see them splitting, but I'm not about to go out there and be bold enough to say that Miami's up 2-0 going home like they
Yeah,
were after the
no,
Boston series.
Denver coming into this undefeated, still at home. I think the
Mm-hmm.
worst or the best case scenario that Miami can hope for is to steal one on the
Mm-hmm.
road. Um, but it's going to be tough. You mentioned the Butler and Murray matchup. I think Murray's going to ball out no matter what. They're going to have to
Yeah.
just give him different looks throughout the course of this. But I think he's just built for the playoffs. He's
Yeah.
built to be a performer like this, and now he's on the biggest stage, and I think he's
Mm-hmm.
just going to keep excelling and just hit some of the toughest shots that we've ever seen. Probably we're going to be comparing some of these final shots to Kyrie Irving from his 2016 run with the Cavs.
Mm-hmm.
They're those types of players on the big stage, and I think he's just going to elevate his game here. So, I mean, if you got Jimmy on him, Jimmy's going to get so tired, and you don't want to. You don't want to get Jimmy too tired, so they're probably gonna have to shuffle things around to get on Murray. But
Yeah.
I don't think there's much you can do about it. But the main guy you're gonna have to bottle up to make a big difference in this series is Jokic, and I'm not sure how you do that.
Yeah.
Whether it's single coverage, double coverage, no matter what you send at this guy, he's got an answer for most of it, especially being the type of passer that he is, to be able to get out of a lot of different scenarios. Um, and I mean, if you drop on him, he's going to shoot and he's going to knock down the three. We've seen some crazy ones in these
Mm-hmm.
playoffs. So I mean, Spo's just going to have to be creative as a coach to be able to limit Jokic, but you just got to kind of hope that Jamal Murray's going to be off. And that the undrafteds don't keep shooting as hot as they have, from the end of the regular season throughout the playoffs,
Yeah.
from deep and just period.
Yeah.
Duncan Robinson, 15 for 17 in the paint. What is that about?
That's crazy.
Just
That's
getting
just
easy
crazy.
money stuff. So hopefully that's not an easy bucket type situation in this series for him. Who knows if it continues? It's just one of those random stats where he's just barely missing, and why is he even in the interior anyway, Mr.
Yeah.
Duncan Robinson? But it's going to be a fun matchup in these playoffs, BJ. Who do you have, and in how many?
Well, I say this. I'm probably going to go a little bit of a roundabout way to answer this question, just because it's more fun when I do it that way. If there is a definitive edge for the Heat in this series, it is because of their head coach Eric Spoelstra. I mean, you talk about a guy. This is what, fourth finals appearance since he took over as head coach back in 15-ish years ago. He's been in the Eastern Conference Finals 6 times, I think, in that span. And I mean, this man, not just playing with, not just coaching one of the greatest basketball players, if not the greatest basketball player of all time. Obviously, there are discussions, debates. Yes, LeBron and the big three that they had with Wade and Bosch down there as well. But he is able to, after they all left and the band broke up, he was able to help them, get another team together to put themselves back in position to make a run like this. And this is the second time now in 4 seasons, going back to the bubble, where Miami came in as a lower seeded team. Nobody was giving them really a snowball's chance, and well, a place that doesn't get a whole lot of snowballs, to make it this far. And here they are. And at this rate, the way they're playing, it's hard to pick against them. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick the Nuggets, and I'm going to pick them to win in 6 games, because I just don't know where the stops are going to be made for the Miami defense. I don't know if you're going to be able to limit Jokic, and if you do somehow, He's still got Jamal Murray. He's still got you know he's still got Eric Gordon or not Eric Gordon, but he's still got all those other options there on the team that have really stepped up. And I mean, it's tough for me to really feel like they're going to be able to stymie Denver's offense enough to win games. They're going to have to outscore them because their defense is, you're going to have to give up some easy, looks so that you can save and conserve some energy for your offense. And I mean, that's going to be tough after how many games they played in this postseason. They went a tough, grueling 7 games where they nearly, became the ultimate meme against Boston. They were in, a series with the Knicks that really wasn't too much of a competition, and then the Bucks. I mean, they, but coming off of just that last series, and the only thing that I think can help Miami is if Denver is rusty because of how long it's been. It's been what, 10 days now, Drew, I think, since the Nuggets won game 4 against the Lakers
Been a
and
while.
punched their ticket to the NBA finals. So if there's any rust on Denver, I mean, that's going to be evident here tonight in game 1. And that's Miami's opportunity. You need to get a split here in Denver. If it, worst case scenario, if you want to win the series, and if you're down 0-2, it flips just the other way around. I feel like, I talked about how I felt like the series was over if Miami gets both on the road. Well, if Denver gets both at home, I mean, it's not impossible. We've seen crazier things, but it just really, really feels like if either team takes both games to start the series, that's going to be the team that ends up winning it. I'm going with Denver in 6, though.
There you go. Long way to say Nuggets in 6. I like it. I like it. I'm right there with you, Beej. Nuggets in 6. It is inevitable there. I think they're just going to have trouble with the two stars and Jokic and
Yeah,
Murray in that unstoppable two-man game that they have.
yeah.
I know Spo's going to try and mix it up as much as he can. I think they'll be able to squeak out a couple of games. I don't know how much Tyler Harrow is going to be able to help enough at this point, depending on how healed that hand is, because
Mm-hmm.
you bringing him back to shoot, so he's got to be good enough to get some noteworthy buckets for you, or he's
And
not
some
going to
good
be
looks.
playable, or he's not going to be playable on the floor because they'll attack him defensively while he's out there. So,
Yeah,
um, who knows how much he'll be used even when he does come back? He might be a distraction on the floor, but
yeah,
he may, like I said about defensive end, he may be a detriment on that side. But
yeah.
Nuggets in
And
6.
Nuggets in 6, and I didn't mean to expound upon it, but you did want a breakdown, and I think I gave you a
Yes,
pretty good breakdown.
and it's fair. That's fair. Nuggets in 6. And lastly, as we round things out, we've had some coaching hires. BJ,
Mm-hmm.
Nick Nurse got hired first. How you
Yeah,
feel?
I,
Well,
I,
first of all, your response to Nick Nurse being the one to get hired first.
well, I think it's
After
the
your
wrong.
disbelief in Mr. Nurse.
I think it's
Mr. Nick Nurse, I'm
I,
sorry that my friend didn't believe in you getting your job first. Yeah.
I'm gonna continue the disrespect, Drew. I still think
Oh!
I think it's the wrong move. I don't think this is gonna work
Oh,
out well for
man.
the Sixers at all. I'm really not a fan of this move. I
Not
think
a
that this is
believer in
no.
Nicky.
I'm not a believer. I don't think that. I mean, I know that there's some rumors and rumblings about James Harden being on his way out. I think that this is a situation where, as much injury problems that Joel Embiid has had in his career so far, I really don't feel like this is the right coach to bring in to help alleviate some of those things. I feel like Nick Nurse is going to ride him into the ground, and I really don't think that this is. I think that so the common criticism of of Doc Rivers is how much he milked the '08 championship with the Celtics, right? How that has been like the
Certainly from me, anyway.
well, I mean, if Nick Nurse fails in Philly, is it going to be something similar where
No,
he rides
no.
the Kawhi train from 2019, and that's the only reason why
Nope,
he
because that's been
continues to
because Doc's been 15 years removed from his championship. It's only been gonna be what 5 after this season for Nurse.
yeah.
Yeah, so no, he gotta have some more time on that,
Well,
and he's got to.
well, this is how it starts, Drew. If this
Oh,
doesn't pan out, if this
Nick
doesn't
Nurse will be
pan
the
out,
next Doc Rivers. You heard it here first from BJ. Oh,
I don't think this pans out, Drew. I really think that
okay,
they could have made. I really thought Monty was honestly going to go over to Philly.
well,
We'll
I
talk
think
about him in a second, but
he did make a good decision though,
he
BJ. He
did.
went to a
Oh,
nice little team in Detroit.
and got the bag too, Drew. He got
Yeah,
the
I think he got
bag.
he got the bag, and BJ could probably argue a better situation.
I think he is in a better situation, Drew. I love the young talent that they've got in Detroit. And I think that's
Same.
I think that's a fantastic move to bring him in and coach up that young roster. My bold prediction is that in 2 seasons, the Pistons are going to be ahead of the Sixers in the standings at the end of the season. I think
Okay.
that Monty and the Pistons are in better shape going forward than Nick Nurse and the Sixers will
Do
be.
either of these coaches get a Coach of the Year award with their teams?
I think it's more likely that Monty would
Man, you
than
hate
Nick
Nick Nurse.
Nurse. I don't. Oh, here's the thing.
I just,
I know it seems that way, but no,
no
I
faith at
really
all, but it's
don't.
okay. I get it. I get it.
I this is what I feel. This is,
No
I'm
faith.
not trying to be rude or mean or anything like that. It's just
It's real.
criticism.
It's real.
And I don't believe in him. I don't think he's the answer. And I
This is
really didn't like the move.
this is the most adamant you've been. Like, I don't believe in this person, this coach that I've ever seen. Like, no, Nikki, I don't believe in you. No,
No,
just no, not
no.
buying
Just
any stock at all.
tell me to do these episodes when I've been up all night. You'll get more adamant takes from me.
But BJ, it doesn't move you that the year after he lost Kawhi, he still won 53 games and won Coach of the Year.
No, no,
Oh,
no,
okay, that's all right.
no. I really
All
don't
right.
believe it. I really don't buy it.
Who wins more games in year one, the Sixers or the Pistons?
I think Sixers still, but just by a smidge.
Ooh,
That's why I said two.
are
Because I
Detroit
think
Pistons make the playoffs?
if they do, it's because they made it through the play-in. I think the Sixers might be like
Mm.
that 5-6 range, and then
Okay, yeah,
the
they'll probably
Pistons
have
come in
to.
7-8
They'd have
somewhere.
to become a great team overnight, but a healthy Cade Cunningham helping out whatever with everything they've got right now,
Yeah.
I think they'll be pretty good.
And they're going
Yeah,
to get another good pick this year because of that with the draft lottery. I mean,
yeah,
this is looking pretty promising for
pretty
Detroit.
nice, and they might entice a superstar over the summer. Who knows? I mean,
Maybe
they could shift some things around.
things
Somebody come
could.
play with Monty. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. But there you go. That's the NBA for today, Mr. BJ, and now it's time for BJ's best.
Yeah, well, thank you, Drew, as always. Well, we had some fun last week going back and reminiscing about some 90s childhood cartoon shows that we all
Indeed,
enjoyed.
it
Yeah,
was a
that
tough
was fun.
game.
I didn't want it to be that tough. I was hoping that you kind of would remember a little bit more than you did, I guess.
Well, I knew more 2000 stuff than the
Hmm.
90s. Like, I only caught on to a couple of those. Those didn't
Yeah.
ring as true as the other stuff.
It was ones that I've tried with everything that I had, where it was shows that like started in the 90s but were still airing like in the 2000s, so that you would remember. I was
I was
hopeful, at
close.
least, like like Powerpuff Girls was started in the 90s, but it still aired
Yep.
in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Some of Dexter's Lab, so, shows like that. So, but you know I didn't even realize today, Drew, that it is National Game Show Day, and so we're gonna play another game.
Woohoo!
We're
Buckle
gonna
up, baby.
so yeah, so I'm not doing any of the music this time, but
Oh,
I do have some I do have
music, music,
I do have
music.
something special. I do have something special though. So
Oh,
here's what we're
okay,
gonna do, okay? So because
okay.
today is National Game Show Day, there are a there is a list of 8 game shows that are the most popular game shows of all time. And because we are going to play the game, I've got the top 8 answers on the board, Drew. Tell me,
Oh,
what are some of the most popular game shows of all time? Give me an answer.
well, I appreciate the hint, but I also knew one of these was going to be on the list because I watched it all the time. And if I happen to catch it on TV, if I'm at a hotel or something, I'm going to pop it on.
And what
And
is
that
that?
is Family Feud.
Family Feud survey says, yeah, coming in at number
Let's
7
go.
on the list. Family Feud has been, now I think this is its third run. It originally started in 1976, ran through 85, came back for a couple of seasons between 88 and 95, and then it has been on the air since 1999 in
Steve
its
Harvey
current
edition is by
iteration.
far the best.
I mean, I like Richard Dawson, but I think Steve Harvey has made it his own, and I enjoy the clips that come
Oh yeah,
from these.
the
So
facial expressions help so much.
yes, so you still have 7 answers on the board.
Okay.
You got number 8 and 1 through 6. So want to hear name another one of the most popular game shows of all time.
Okay, so you said that was 7,
That was
right?
number 7 on the board.
Okay.
Yes,
Jeopardy.
Jeopardy. Good answer. Survey says.
Let's
Hey, it
go. Two
comes
for
in.
two.
Yes, it comes in at number 3.
Okay,
Jeopardy
3 and
originally
7 are
aired
gone.
between 64 and 75, but
Write
then
this
Alex
down.
Trebek revival started in 1984, and it still runs even now.
Okay.
6 more answers on the board, Drew. You've already selected numbers 3 and 7. Where are you going next with the most popular game shows of all time?
Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune. Good answer. Good answer. Survey says.
Let's
All right.
go.
Yeah, number 3.
I'm rolling.
He's got number 5 on the board. Wheel of Fortune debuted
35
in
cents.
1975, and it's been on the air now for almost 50 years. So you've got 3 of the 8 so far. You're doing really well, Drew. Want to go ahead and
Okay.
give it another whirl?
I want to try it. This one's kind of a risky one. I don't know if it'll make this list, especially
Okay.
considering what number 7 was with Family Feud. But let's
Mhm.
go with Deal or No Deal.
Deal or no deal? Good guess. Let's see. Survey says.
Oh
Oh, no.
man.
Deal or no deal is not on the board.
Oh,
That's all right. You got 1 strike. You've still got 5 answers on the board. Where are you going next?
Let me think here. Let me get some game shows back in my mind. What have I seen over the years? Hold on.
You got Jeopardy at 3, Wheel of Fortune at
3,
5,
5, and 7,
and
right?
Family Feud is 7. Yes.
Oh, how can I forget this? The Price is Right, BJ.
The Price is Right. Good answer. Survey says. Yes.
Oh, thank goodness.
Price is Right is number 4. It's been on the
Number
air for
4.
over 50 years now, coming back
5,
in
7.
1972. So you've got the top 2 answers on the board. You have 6 and 8. You're halfway there, Drew, and you still got 2 strikes to mess with. So where are you going with your next guess?
Oh man, this is tough. I don't know. You said so. I've got 3, 4, 5, and 7, right?
Yes. Yep. So the remaining answers on the board are 1, 2, 6, and 8.
1, 2, 6, and 8. Oh, holy cow! This I don't know if this will make the list because Deal or No Deal didn't make it, but Cash Cab.
Oh, Cash Cab. That's a good guess. Let's see. Survey says. Oh, Cash Cab not on the board. 2 strikes, Drew. All
Oh my
right.
gosh, it's 3 strikes and I'm out. Oh
Yeah,
goodness.
it's
Oh
3
no.
strikes and you're out. So
Uh,
you got to be careful here. There's nobody here to steal though, so that at least you don't have to worry about that. But
let's go with. Let's make a deal.
let's make a deal.
Probably not.
All right,
I
let's
done
find
messed up
out.
here. This stinks.
Survey says. Oh no. So, sir,
Can I just keep guessing?
let's. I mean, you could. I was. You want if you want me to give them to you?
Can I get a mulligan on that
You want a
last one?
mulligan? Sure,
I
go
want a
ahead. You get
mulligan.
one more since it's just you guessing here.
Okay, match game.
Match game. That's a good guess. Survey says yes.
Thank
Match
God.
game coming in at number 2. That's
Oh
a
man, so
great
2,
guess.
3, 4, 5, 7. So I've got 1 and 6 and 8.
1, 6, 8. Yep. 3
Dang,
answers
this is
still
hard.
remaining on the board.
Let's see, what am I missing? Oh, I don't know if this will be on there. I want to use it, but I've already used a mully. Let's just go with this one. I think it will be on there. Who wants to be a millionaire?
Ooh, that's a good guess. Let's
Oh
find out
man,
if it's on
that
the
didn't inspire
scoreboard.
confidence.
Survey says No, it is not on the scoreboard. You
Uh,
want me to give you the answers?
no, okay, I want to try one more, and then you give me the answers.
Okay.
Are you smarter than a fifth grader on there?
Are you smarter than a fifth grader? Survey says no.
What?
No, it
What
is
is on
not on
this
the.
list?
All right. Starting at the
I
bottom, can
started
we
so
see
hot.
number 8, please?
Started so hot.
Hollywood Squares, airing between 1966 and
Don't know that.
1981.
That's tough.
All right. What's number 6, please? The Gong Show. That only aired for 3 seasons between
What? I
1976 and
didn't even make
78,
it.
but apparently it has lived on as one of the most popular game shows of all time. And
Damn.
Drew,
I didn't even hear those other two.
you didn't hear the last two?
No, like 6 and 8, like I've never heard of them before.
Okay. Well, the number 1 answer, please. To Tell the Truth. Aired between 56 to 78, came back for a season in 1980 1981, another revival in 2000 to 2002, and it's on its fourth iteration now. It has aired since 2016. To Tell the Truth is apparently the most popular game show of all time.
I don't believe it.
At least
Blasphemy.
according to this list put together on the National Calendar Day. So I think it's a pretty good list all in all. There's some other other games that are missing, Drew. When you think about game shows such as Press Your Luck, Let's Make a Deal, like you said, that we
Hmm.
thought it should be on there. I thought it should be on there
Man.
too. Card Shark, Supermarket Sweep, the password games. This
Deal or No Deal should have made it. I think Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader also should have made it. That was a fun game.
I think those were more. I think at least for I get where you're coming from, but I think those would be classified as like the primetime drama kind of game show. I don't know.
Eh,
This is more. I think just like your normal like what would air, like when you had a day off from school because you were sick or something like that.
mhm.
And you'd watch, like you said, Price is Right. You'd watch Family Feud. You'd watch some of these other game shows that only aired like you said. I'm really surprised that Let's Make a Deal was not on this list. That one just kind of really surprised me. But outside of really the Gong Show, I don't have a problem with a whole lot of these answers being on the board. So it's National Game Show Day, Drew. Tomorrow is another cool day. I thought about including this in BJ's Best, but I just wanted to see if you knew. So tomorrow is National Donut Day,
Mm.
and it's
Like
going to
me a
be
good donut.
it's going to be a delicious day for fataholics like me. I'm gonna have to go ahead and go get me a crawler or something in the morning. I'm already looking forward to it. Drew, I found this list that says the best donuts in every state, and I'll give you a hint. There's a very famous donut shop in the state of Texas. It's been featured on TV shows in the past, like Man versus Food and some others. I wonder if you know what is the most or the best donut in the state of Texas,
Oh,
or
the
where you can
best
get it.
donut or the best
Yeah,
donut shop?
where you can get the best donut, I
Okay,
should say.
I've only got like two guesses for this.
All right.
Krispy Kreme,
No, that's a good guess, but I think that consider is like a donut chain.
Dunkin' Donuts. Okay, well I'll lose
That's
then.
another donut chain. So do you want me to go ahead and give you?
Yes,
All right.
I give
So
up.
according to thedailymeal.com, those that live in Round Rock can enjoy the best donuts in the state of Texas by going to Round Rock Donuts. I mean, you
Oh,
should see the. I mean, if you've seen Man versus Food or whatnot, they got the really like authentic looking donuts that look just delicious, and that's one of mine. Like, I don't go to Austin that much, so I never am really in that area to try to go get some donuts at Round Rock Donuts. But if you don't get there early, they might be sold out by 8 a.m. That's how popular they are. So yeah, so tomorrow National Donut Day, but today is National Game Show Day, and thought we'd have a little fun for the second week in a row, and we'd play a little game during BJ's Best. I think that went pretty well.
Heck yeah, BJ, I like that. These games have been super fun. And
I'll
I'll
have
be
to see
sure to
if
get a donut because my local donut shop or my hometown donut shop's got some delicious stuff. So I'm gonna
yeah.
have to slide in there and
When I go into work in the morning, I may have to swing my way over to a donut shop that's like not right next door, but pretty close by to where I work, and get some donuts because I had them a couple weeks back before work, and I was really impressed. I like a lot of the donut shops around the house, but since that one's closer to work, might as well since it's right there, right?
that's a good call, BJ.
So that is BJ's best, Drew, for this week.
A wonderful addition to BJ's Best.
Thank
Love
you.
it, Beach.
Thanks so
Good
much.
stuff. What I don't love is when stuff isn't on sale.
Oh,
But we love to buy things that look good anyway because I mean people like to spend money these days. There's no sale, ladies and gentlemen, at T Public, but you can always get yourself prepared and still get those T-shirts, those tank tops, those baseball tees, and whatever else. If you want a coffee mug, if you listen to this show bright and early in the morning on Friday mornings when these drop, because we record on a Thursday once again, you can just get
mhm.
a bundle of stuff, and if it's over $80, you can get free shipping,
Look at
ladies and gentlemen.
that.
You can get free shipping. So there's always a hookup with TeePublic. Free shipping on orders $80 or more at TeePublic, even when there's no sale. We've got a deal for you, ladies and gentlemen. Use the link in our description and shop today. That's TeePublic. $80 or more, free shipping.
Yeah, that's right, Drew. And if you're wanting to do some more shopping, I know Father's Day is coming up here in a few weeks, and well, I mean, a champion's going to be crowned in the next couple weeks as well in both the NBA and the NHL. The go-to spot to get your conference championship and finals matchup merchandise is over to friends at Fanatics. You can also use the link in our description to go and shop Fanatics and save some money. First time Western Conference champion Denver Nuggets looking to cap off their best season in franchise history with a title. The Heat are looking for their fourth in less than 20 years, Drew. That's just hard to believe. Plus, one of those teams in the Stanley Cup is going to be holding the cup for the first time, as it's either going to be the Vegas Knights or the Florida Panthers. Plus, it's coming up Lou Gehrig Day across the Major League Baseball as we want to help end ALS. Plus, Father's Day, as I mentioned, collection of hats is on sale now at Fanatics. The place for officially licensed merchandise right now, as you can see on your screen, you can get up to 65% off site wide by using promo code WAVES. Again, promo code WAVES for 65% off, up to 65% off at checkout. Terms and conditions may apply. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything. And Drew, now it is time to find out what's on your mind for this week.
Well, Mr. BJ, on my mind this week is the longest running movie franchises of all time.
Oh, okay.
You watch a lot of movies, BJ?
Sometimes it just really depends on what movie it really is. So let me. I'm not. I know you probably have a list here, but I want to
Hmm.
guess a couple and see if I can just
Oh,
get a
well, of
few off.
course, you were going to guess the list,
Oh, okay.
BJ.
All right.
I do have a list. Do you mind being given one because it's what inspired this list?
Sure. Yeah. Go for it.
Okay, the one that inspired this list is one. It's a movie that came out recently. Do you happen to know what that is?
Is it the Fast and the Furious
Yes, it
franchise?
is. Yes, it is the 10th movie
Yeah.
in that franchise, and goodness, they've had a
And
lot of movies, BJ.
and they're not done. I know they've got at
They're
least
not.
one more, maybe even two more.
They're not done at all.
My
But
goodness.
there's at least 10 movies on this list that I've got here, and I want to see if we'll guess early, and if you're hitting them, we'll go with it. But if we're kind of off track, then I'll start giving you some. How's that sound?
Okay. All right. Well, I
Okay.
just thinking back on what you might consider a movie franchise.
Okay.
It comes to mind that there's been some, that might change actors, but the character still remains the same throughout the years, even if
That
different actors
counts.
have portrayed. So my first guess is going to be the James Bond movie franchise. Is that
Yes,
on the list?
indeed. That is the first one on the list, BJ, with the search
Okay.
currently on for a new Bond. It's important to recognize how long this action adventure series has been around.
Yeah.
Mr. 007, from the pages of the British novelist Ian Fleming, comes a film series that began back in 1962.
I was
With,
just about to say, isn't it about 60 years ago now that the first movie
yeah,
came out?
with Dr. Sean Connery, George Lazenby, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, Pierce Brosnan, and Daniel Craig have all
Mhm.
portrayed stalwart, lethal Agent 007 in a franchise that dabbled in loose continuity until Craig's run as Bond gave us a reboot in a fully serialized Bond with a closed ending. There's 25 official movies in all, 27 if you count non-series. 1967's Casino Royale and 1983's Never Say Never Again,
Mhm.
and it is one of the longest running movie franchises of
Awesome.
all
All
time.
right. Well, that's a good first guess then, Drew.
Yes, indeed.
Now, so does this mean that is it longest running in terms of how many years it has gone by between releases, or is it longest as in how many movies have been released in the franchise itself?
Yes.
So both is what it sounds
Yes.
like. Okay. Well, then my second guess is going to be a movie franchise that started back in the late 70s. Started a couple of lesser known actors, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and of course Harrison Ford. I'm talking about the Star Wars movie franchise. Is that on the list, Drew?
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah, of course it's on the list. BJ, Star
Woo!
Wars is a galaxy unto itself, one of the largest multimedia properties in history. All starting with a monumental 1977 sci fi fantasy adventure film that instantly changed the viewers' lives. Three distinct trilogies over the course of 4 decades, plus some incredible animated series, brought different generations of fans into the fold. And it's only all gaining momentum. Ahsoka premieres this summer on Disney Plus, while The Horizon promises Skeleton Crew, The Alkalite, Andor season 2, and multiple films. As the original shared as the original shared movie universe pre-Marvel Studios, Star Wars is one of the longest serialized stories to go without a reboot.
Awesome. I was just about to say, I'm not, I figured that that was also part of it because it's another one. But before we move on to the next guest, the original trilogy is the best. Changed my mind.
Ooh.
No need for any of the others. Just watch the original three.
Hey, no arguments here, Beach.
Next guess is I think you may have mentioned it, but it was going to be my next guess anyway because of how many movies they have released, even if it's been in just a short 10, 15-year span. That's a Marvel Cinematic Universe, Drew. Does that
Hmm.
make the list?
Hmm. The MCU, you say?
The MCU, yes.
They were right under Star Wars. So
Mm,
yes, the
yes.
MCU. Though
Awesome.
there were or most certainly movies made about Marvel characters before 2008.
Yes.
Marvel Studios' Marvel Cinematic Universe, which began with Iron Man, is nothing short of a phenomenon. Time wise, it feels like a baby compared to some of the other franchises on this list, but the saga's
Mm,
scope and sheer amount of output more than makes up for its smaller window of only 15 years.
yeah.
We're a staggering 32 films in. Now, with
Yeah.
8 Disney Plus
Just
streaming series to consider too, this doesn't even take into account the TV/streaming shows from the last decade that were once considered part of the MCU, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Daredevil, etc.
mm,
Consider those as victims of Thanos' snap.
just crazy. And there were some good TV shows too, I'll tell you that. But yeah, I finally got to watch Ant Man and the Wasp Quantumania last weekend, so it was
Ooh.
pretty good. I hadn't had a chance to watch it, but it finally dropped on Disney Plus, and I finally had the time to try to sit down and watch it, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't exactly my favorite or anything like that, but I think it got a little bit of criticism unnecessarily outside of a few things that I mean, just were kind of eh. But
For time's sake, BJ, let's see if you can go 5 for 5, and then I'll give you the
Okay.
rest. So two
All
more
right.
guesses for you.
Two more guesses.
Two
Okay.
more guesses.
Well, I guess Marvel, and I was right.
Correct.
Is DC's universe on that same scope? Is that on the list as well?
Ooh.
The DCEU, by chance?
I'm afraid that you won't be going 5 for 5, my friend.
Oh
But you
man.
have a chance on the fifth question.
All right. Well, let's see. So I've gotten Star Wars, Bond, and
Star
the
Wars Bond in the
MCU.
MCU.
Okay.
Yes.
Trying to
Can't
think
believe
of.
you haven't said this one.
It's probably going to make me go when.
Uh huh. Well, you're gonna smack yourself on the forehead if you don't get this one.
Well, I think that I'm going to go with the movie that's going to come out here later on this month. It's the fifth installment, the Indiana Jones franchise. Drew, is
That is
that?
not where I was going, but it is on the list.
Okay, all right. I thought it
It is
was.
indeed.
All
I
right.
actually just went past it as I was scrolling around. It was actually right below the MCU.
Okay.
Indiana Jones, including the upcoming Indiana Jones, as you mentioned, and the Dial of Destiny.
Dial of Destiny. I've already
The
got my
Indiana
tickets. I'm going to go
the
see it.
The Indiana Jones franchise stands at only 5 films, but over 40 years. But as the whip cracking hero once said, it's not the years, it's the mileage.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider that Harrison Ford has been the only one playing Jones on the big screen this whole time, even
Yeah.
at 80 years old. A couple
Yeah.
actors have been cast as a younger Indiana River Phoenix for an extended flashback,
Mm-hmm.
and Sean Patrick Flannery for the George Lucas produced 90s series, The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. But any and all talk of actually rebooting everything with a new actor has been met with fan outrage.
Yeah. I can remember how much the fans outrage after Crystal Skull came out. So I mean I don't know when they kind of had Shia LaBeouf as maybe the next one to soft reboot, and that kind of got flack. So I don't think they're really going to do it. I think once this one's done, it's Indiana Jones is not going to be made anymore. I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
imagine anybody else being Indiana Jones besides Harrison Ford. That's kind
Yeah.
of why on the solo movie uh, flopped, which is weird to say.
Yeah.
All
It
right,
is weird to
what did
say.
I forget? What am I missing, Drew?
All
What's
right.
the one that I'm gonna beat myself up over?
I'll let you know when we get to it, but let's run
Okay,
through the rest of these here. BJ,
let's do it.
Planet of the Apes.
Okay, I'm not a big fan, but I can understand why that's on the list.
It's been running since 1968.
Yeah.
I won't get into all of that for the sake of running through these here.
Hmm.
Next up, BJ, Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, I guess that counts, but I mean, it's really I think of that more as for the TV show, I guess.
Over the past 100 years, the super sleuth has appeared in the screen over 250 times, not even counting stage and radio, making him the most portrayed literary human character in film and television history.
Yeah, that makes sense.
75 actors have played Sherlock Holmes, BJ.
That's pretty remarkable, Drew. That is pretty
75.
remarkable.
Next up, Batman.
Yeah, Batman makes sense.
Yeah.
Superman, it would be in that same token sphere, I'm guessing.
What began as a comic character created by Bill Finger with Bob Kane in 1939 sprawled out into the 1940s serials, a 60s TV series, a movie, a blockbuster multiplex run in the late 80s, and a 90s animation too, and so on. We live in a Batman world from Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy to an entire Fox TV series about the city Batman lives in, Gotham.
I still like Adam West's portrayal the best.
Dracula in the
Yeah,
Universal Monsters.
yeah, Dracula makes sense.
From 1931's Dracula, and before that, 1922's Silent Nof- Nosferatu.
Nosferatu. Yes.
Nosferatu. There you go, BJ. Our obsession with Bram Stoker's landmark 1897 novel is practically unrivaled pop culture wise. And add this to the Mummy, the Wolfman, Dr. Frankenstein, and his monster, and the Invisible Man, and more. It doesn't really matter what Universal's Dark Universe never
Yes.
made it past its first film.
Yeah. They're still trying to get that off the ground though. I don't know if that's gonna happen. But
Godzilla.
Godzilla makes sense. Yeah.
The, the atomic age of the 1950s gifted us with The classic killer Kaiju Godzilla, a gargantuan prehistoric monster awakened by nuclear radiation in the 1954 self-entitled film from Toho, which is still making Godzilla films to this day. With over 30 Japanese flicks and a handful of American entries, including the still going legendary MonsterVerse, which began with 2014's Godzilla, this is one of the most reliably enduring global franchises in movie history.
Does King Kong also crack the list if Godzilla's on the list?
Oh, you want to guess for a King Kong, huh, BJ? Well, I'd be ashamed to disappoint you that it does not make this list.
Wow, interesting.
It does
Godzilla
not,
over King Kong. Interesting. Okay,
indeed.
keep going.
Next up on this list, BJ, is where I'm disappointed. Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, yes.
Harry Potter.
You know, I think I blocked out Harry Potter because when I was a kid, bullies would say, "You look like Harry Potter."
Oh,
I didn't have the
gotcha.
scar, but I had similar looking glasses. So, I mean,
Gotcha.
childhood trauma didn't allow me to enjoy Harry Potter like everybody else did, unfortunately.
Fair.
So, but yeah,
Sorry
definitely
about
makes
that.
sense. It's all right.
For-
It's all good.
Forget those nerds.
Hey, I was gonna say it's been like 20 years, and I think I'm doing far more better things than they are right now. But
Boom.
I don't know.
A new Harry Potter TV series based on author J.K. Rowling's books has just been greenlit for Max, formerly HBO Max,
Hmm.
formerly HBO, all those things.
HBO
Even
Go,
though the
HBO Now.
yeah, HBO now too. Even though the film series, which ran for a decade from Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone in 2001 to Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 in 2011, which crazy thinks that's
Yeah,
that long ago, BJ,
yeah.
aren't all that far in our rear view and are still immensely popular. It's strange to say that this book series, which began back in 1997 and has already toppled the adaptation mountain, is about to take on its biggest challenge yet with a 10-season streaming series. But it's true.
I have been to platform 9 3/4 at King's Cross Station. One of the coolest things that a Harry Potter fan could do. Now, obviously, I didn't say that I was, but I still have, people that wanted me to take pictures of it. So, but
Next,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
next up, BJ, Halloween.
Yeah,
Should be no
Halloween.
surprise at this point, as we recently
Mm-hmm.
watched new movies of Halloween. Though Freddy Krueger is dormant and Jason Voorhees barely clings to life, afterlife, more so, I don't know.
Too
Mi-
much life.
Michael Myers remains as the most trusted name in slasher horror, having just completed a successful reboot trilogy, which was the second reboot timeline after Halloween H20 to bring back original star Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. Halloween, complete with Michael's trademark mask from the catchy, chilling John Carpenter score, is a horror mainstay from 1978's devilishly influential first film to movies every decade since, including Rob Zombie's remakes. This sinister saga is one for the record books and you multiverse nerds.
Awesome
And
stuff.
next up, I'll go a little bit faster.
Okay.
Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, the Rocky movies. That makes sense.
And
And
Adonis Creed.
yeah, they've all been with Sylvester Stallone, except I think the Creed ones. Maybe the first one had him in it, but
The first one did have him in it.
that's right. What's next?
Uh, Next up, BJ, you might be not surprised, but maybe surprised you didn't think of this one. But maybe you just weren't thinking this dark. But The Exorcist.
Yeah, I didn't think of that one. That's
Yeah,
surprising, but I mean, you're right. They do make it seems like too many of them at times.
still considered to be still considered by many to be the scariest film of all time, helping it become the only horror movie to get nominated for Best Picture. The 1973's The Exorcist offered up to two direct sequels: 1977's Forgettable Exorcist 2, the Heretic, excuse me, and 1990's Better Than You'd Expect, The Exorcist 3. The series then went dead for about as long as the break between 2 and 3, so that was about 13 years, returning with some big time prequel films in the aughts and direct sequel Fox series last decade.
Mhm.
Not as abundant as its offerings as some of the other franchises on the list. The Exorcist is back in business once more thanks to Halloween reboot trilogies. David Gordon Green and Blumhouse
Hmm.
slated for this year on October 13th. The Exorcist Believer kicks off
Interesting.
Green's latest horror reboot trilogy.
Interesting.
I said I was going to go fast and I read the whole thing. Uh,
Mhm.
Next up, after we skip some of the ones that you mentioned, BJ, Mission Impossible.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It
Can't
dates
believe
all
I
the
didn't
way
think of that one.
back to 1996.
Tom Cruise has been on in all of them as well. And there was a long gap between I think the first three and then the most recent three
And if you
that
take
they
into
did.
account the TV series, it began in 1966 and ran
Yeah,
for 7 seasons.
yeah, yeah. That's where the inspiration came from for the Cruise movies.
And next up, BJ, you may or may not hit yourself for this one. Depends on if you like this show or not. Star Trek.
Yeah, I'm not as into Star Trek as some, but
Me
again
either.
I can appreciate it that they've been around for a long time as well.
Mm-hmm. And next up, Child's Play.
Oh yeah, Chucky,
Mm-hmm.
and that also had Mark Hamill in it, if I'm not mistaken, as the voice of Chucky.
It's stuck around for over 35 years.
That's crazy.
Uh,
That is
the
just
voice of
crazy.
Chucky is Brad Dourif.
Well, there's I think the most recent ones maybe, or maybe there was something animated. Mark Hamill has done the voice of Chucky recently, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe he's in the newer stuff.
Maybe,
Of course,
maybe.
Fast and Furious. And here's another one
Hmm.
that you think makes sense once I say this, BJ. The Saw series.
Yeah, yeah.
So many of those movies. Some of them not
Too
very good at
many,
all.
too
Yeah,
many, yeah, too
yeah,
many,
too many,
too many,
too
man.
many. Some of them were like really good and like, oh my goodness, this is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. The other one's like, all right, what are we doing here?
It's like, you've got to saw off your own hand to get the key to unlock yourself from the cage or whatever. Like remove the bear trap that's attached to your face or so.
And
I don't
like you're
know that.
hanging upside down by your toes in a freezer and stuff.
Yeah, that just it just gets a little
Crazy.
ridiculous to me, but
And next up, the aforementioned Jason Voorhees, Friday the
mhm,
13th.
yeah. There's way too many of these horror franchises. Did you notice that? Like
Yeah.
compared to some of the other genres, there's it's I guess it's far easier to make like horror movies because it's like you make one good one and then that creates like three or four bad ones because they're so cheap and easy to make that they don't necessarily have to be good because people are going to go and see them anyway.
And that is the last one. I was trying to check the comments to see if anybody had any nominations from the comments in this
I
thing
think that
on
list was
on
pretty
the website
expansive.
here that I'm taking a look at. But yeah, there you go. Those are all the longest running movie franchises in TV or in history, not TV
Yeah,
history, but
that
the
was a
longest
pretty
running movie
expansive
franchise.
list. That's good
I know,
stuff.
pretty solid bit of
Yeah,
movies that we haven't even thought about in a while, but definitely remember that more than likely we've come across at least one in our lifetime of
yeah.
all those movies. I can't think of one on this list that we haven't had. I mean, we've had it all, BJ. The
We may not watch them, but I mean, we're I think
right.
everybody's familiar with all of these movies. So
Yeah, I don't know when the most recent Dracula movie was, but I feel like we've had one in our years of life.
yeah, it's been not too long ago, if I'm not mistaken. So
But that's what's on Drew's mind.
awesome stuff, Drew. All right, well, it's time to talk a little WNBA. And Drew, I know we've got some milestones coming up across the league. I think it's really especially something to keep an eye on because as of right now, there are what 7 players that are averaging 20 or more points per game so far this year. Drew, that's on pace to be a WNBA record if that holds, of course.
Yes, indeed. And as players, continue their longevity in the league, they'll just continue to break records, BJ, and some of them into the record books. Um, let's start with probably looks like Diana Taurasi is where we're going to start here as we take a look at across the timeline is at WBB timeline on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to them and their website that they have for women's basketball. But
Mm-hmm.
on this date in 2017, they just did a repost for us. Diana Taurasi became the WNBA all-time leading uh, three point makes leader. I said that all wrong. All-time leader in made three-pointers. Goodness,
Yeah, there you
with
go.
914, surpassing Katie Smith. 6 years later, she's still running it up here, and not sure where her number is now, but she's going to be far and away the leaders. I mean, she passed it 6 years ago. It's going to be hard to beat DT's record. A lot of DT's scoring marks are going to be super hard to beat, but some that I definitely want to hit on the stat watch for today that they put out there is DeWanna Bonner is just 2 points behind Lisa Leslie for 11th all time. Leslie finished her career with 6,263 points. Next in front of her is Sylvia Fowles, who just retired last year with 6,412. So DB got a chance to be in the top 10 all time in scoring this year. My one of my birthday twins, her and her recently retired sister Erica McCall, which
Hmm.
who we will be bringing back on the show. Boom, bit of news right there. We'll
Whoop.
be bringing her back on for another appearance. Um, but yeah, DB's gonna jump into the top 10 scoring all time this season. Looks like, and definitely going to be in 11th place once she gets one bucket in her next game. So shout out
Yeah.
to DT.
I was gonna
Um,
say, speaking of DT, I think you were asking what her number is now.
mhm.
I've got her at 1304, 1,304 3 pointers made for her
Mm,
career, which is
man,
300 more than Sue Bird, who's now in second place ahead of Katie Smith, who's
who's
fallen into
that? Who's
third.
the active player that's the closest?
I think, let's see, would it be Christy Tolliver? She's
Yep.
at 645. She's
Six.
in seventh place. She's in seventh place.
Wow,
Yeah.
man, 645, and
Allie
that's
Quigley behind her in 14th place at
Alec Quigley is
510.
sitting out this season.
Yeah, and so
Dang.
that's not going to happen. Dewana Bonner's right behind her.
Tawana.
Yeah, she's at
Okay,
495, or at least she was
man,
coming in this year. So that
that's
might,
still way behind.
yeah. Kayla McBride at 19th with 439, like almost 1,000 behind.
Okay, so I think that maybe DT's three pointers made record
It's
is
gonna
one
be
of
like
those.
John Stockton's assist
It's
record. I don't know
gonna
if
be
it
one of
ever
those that'll
falls.
probably ever get broken. Who knows?
Yeah.
Just depends on if players like Enrique or somebody like that can stay in the league for, as many years as DT has.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned those players with 20 points per game to start the season. It's I think he said 7 players. It's Jewel Lloyd with 26 points a game leading, followed by Brianna Stewart with 25.8, Arike with 25.3, Jackie Young with 23, Satu Sabali with 22.3, and sorry, let me fix the Arike, and Satu Sabali with 22.3, Brittany Griner with 21.3, and Elena Deladon with 21. And I posted some numbers recently, BJ, regarding the Dallas Wings and the scoring marks that they've got. They've got
Yeah.
three scorers, and they're the only team in the league right now with three scorers in the top 10 in scoring in the
Mm-hmm.
WNBA right now. I mean, I gave you Enrique and Sawtooth's points per game numbers, and right behind them is Natasha Howard with 18 points per game. Um, Sawtooth currently right now, BJ, starting off the season, looking good out there on the court. If I can find my stinking tweet from this morning, I think I passed it. I'm trying to find the post that I made. Just
Talking
told you
about
the one.
the top three players in the top 10 in scoring average.
Yeah, well, no, I had one for Satu. Here it is. Satu Sabli in Dallas's first 4 games, 22.3 points per game, good for fifth in the league. 9 rebounds per game, good for eighth in the league. 3.3 assists, tied for 16th, and 1.5 steals per game, tied for 15th. All career highs, and she's got
Mm-hmm.
splits of 49, 42, and 96. Just
Man.
1% short in the field goal percentage of 50, 40, 90 early on. I mean, it's 4 games.
Yeah.
We got 36 more to go, but she's starting off really well. It's the best start for her career easily. And if she just keeps
Absolutely.
up this consistent play, or at least on this level, she could be looking at a most improved player award season, 50, 40, 90 club if she stays at this efficiency, which would be remarkable, considering how inefficient her start to her career was. An All Star again, and All WNBA, all in this year if she keeps this up.
Has to
And they're
be.
going to
Yeah.
need her this much as the season goes on because Big T just left town yesterday.
Yeah.
So the Wings have to do this all without Big T until she comes back. But they've done it well.
Yeah.
Natasha Howard's playing really well. looks like the Wings could have 3 All-Stars on their team for the first time in their team's history since they've been there in Dallas. I'm not sure if the Shock ever did it, probably, but 3 All-Stars at one time. It's the first time the Wings would do it for sure. So they've got a
Yeah,
chance to do it this year.
it's gonna be tough. I think that there's still so many great players in the league that I, I hope I'm wrong. I hope they do. I hope they get three in. But I mean, when you talk about how many good players are across the league, I mean, we haven't even talked about Vegas. I know we're going to here in a second, but how many players are going to be coming from the Aces this year? How many players are going to be coming from some of the other teams across the league in L.A., Phoenix? I mean, I can't imagine that Brittany Griner, if she continues her pace that she's been on to start the year, that she's not going to be given a spot on at the WNBA All Star game. So, you know, I think it's phenomenal. It's a great start, obviously, but it is still through 4 games, Drew. So I mean, it's great. I want to see it be consistent, and I want to see it sustainable as we get further along in the season. And if that's the case, then absolutely they deserve 3 All Stars.
And a few more little stats for you, BJ. A couple of days ago, Caleb, you mentioned Caleb McBride already on that three-pointer list.
Mm-hmm.
3 made threes in that game a couple of nights ago against the Wings, and or was it against the Wings? Game a
I
couple of nights ago.
thought so.
Caleb McBride moves up to 19th with 438, just behind Cappy Pondexter and 18th with 464. So Caleb McBride in the top 20 all time in three-pointers made in the W. Alyssa Thomas in the Suns win a couple of nights ago had 13, 17, and 7. Only 5 times in regular season history has a player had 10 plus points, 17 plus rebounds, and 7 plus assists in a game. Alyssa Thomas has 3 of them. The other 2 coming from Lisa Leslie and Candace Parker.
Rare elite air there, Drew.
Rare air, and even more rare here, and maybe one of those records that doesn't get touched until we see another one of these players. But Courtney Vandersloot with 10 assists a couple of nights ago. Again, she now has 75 regular season WNBA games with 10 or more assists, by far a record. In fifth, Teresa Witherspoon with 18. Fourth, Lindsay Whalen with 19. Sue
Mm-hmm.
Bird in third with 45. Tisha Pinachero with 64 in second, and Sloot at first with 75.
I mean, you look at where she is on the active or on the assist leaderboard, Drew. She's third. She's coming into
Yeah,
this year. She was less than 200 assists away from passing, and getting into second place behind Sue Bird. So it's possible for Vandersloot that she may make a run, but she's about 800 behind Sue Bird as of the start of the season.
hey, she's still very well got a chance. And
She does. She
all these
does.
stats again, BJ coming from across the timeline. Make sure you check out their
A
website.
great
Very,
follow.
very, very helpful for anything WNBA that you can't find anywhere else. Some exclusive stuff over there.
Great
Um,
great follow.
and now let's make our way over to the Aces, BJ. The Aces
Mm-hmm.
off to a historic start, BJ. If I remember how many days ago it was when I retweeted this, I would go find the original tweet. But Aces off to a historic pace. I believe it was no time in WNBA history until the Aces did it this year. Did a team start their first 4 games with 90 plus points in each one of them? And the Aces have had at least 93 in all 4 of their games so far. Starting off with 94 in a victory over Minnesota, 93 in a victory over the Sparks the first time, 94 with a victory over them the second time. Or excuse me, flip that. 94 the first time, 93 the second time. Seattle was the game to start the season. See, this thing is in reverse order on here. So
Mm-hmm.
105 in their first game, then 94, 93, 94. There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go. And they're looking to continue that pace probably as they continue going. I mean, you add Candace Parker to the
Mm-hmm.
defending champs here. I mean, what else do you expect here, especially with the type of playmaker that she is as well? And, she's reunited with an old teammate as well. And Jackie Young's trying to have a breakout season so far. The leading scorer on this team
Yeah.
right now, and by far probably the most efficient. She's, man, I'm surprised she didn't get, uh, player of the month honors or what a player of the week honors, excuse me, over Enrique just because of how efficient her scoring was in this early part for the Aces. But the Aces are dominating,
Yeah.
looking like they're on their way to back-to-back BJ. And I believe I posed this question to you on the show before, and it
Hmm.
might have been a with it or quit it question about if you think any team in the W is going to get 30 wins this season. And I just want to remind you that
Yeah.
last year, BJ, the Aces went 26-10,
Hmm.
off to a 4-0 start. Do you still believe in what you said in your with or quit it question?
That they would.
Did you
I,
say
I,
that they would?
I think I did. I think I
I
said
don't
that.
know that you went with
I mean, maybe,
anybody.
I can't remember. I'm not,
I don't know.
I'm not in the right headspace to ask. We'll have to go pull the tape. But I mean, you look
But
at
but based off what you've seen so far, do you think that they can get 30 wins?
based on what I've seen so far, I'd be shocked at this point if the way they're playing. That they've got very winnable games this weekend with the matchups on the road in Indiana and against Atlanta. Then you look ahead at they've got a tough road game at the Sun. Then you keep going just a little bit further into next week, and they've got two with the Sun, I should say, but that's even then. If there's anybody that's going to be able to do it, Drew, I think it's this Aces team. I mean, everybody, rightfully so, talked about New York and how much talent they added in, but this is the defending champs, and they got even better if that was possible by bringing in Candace Parker. And so, as good as they were last year, and bringing in Candace Parker to this year, I mean, it shouldn't really surprise anybody how dominant they've been to start the year, and it wouldn't surprise me if they get to 30 wins. I think I,
Aces
I think I said maybe they like finished right around there, maybe like one win shy, and that's still possible, but I don't know.
Aces leading the league in scoring so far, obviously, with
Yeah.
96.5 points per game. Also leading in opponents' points per game,
Hmm.
and second in assists per game. The Aces started off super hot in that first game against Seattle, 54 or 55% from the field, 61% from three, but have gradually shot a little bit worse in each game since. You think once they face a New York Liberty or a Washington Mystics, once they kind of get themselves together, or even the
Hmm.
Dallas Wings right now,
Yeah.
that they could get knocked off by one of these teams?
It's certainly possible. Like you said, Connecticut's got a pretty good chance. I'm looking at the stats so far, Drew. Obviously, it's still early in the season, but points
Hmm.
per game, the Aces are leading. Like you said, they're leading in rebounds per game. They have the best field goal percentage of any team so far. They have the most blocks per game. They've stolen the ball the most times per game. The only kind of big stat that they're not leading in is free throw percentage, which is just slightly behind the Wings. And they're in second in that category, tied with the Mystics. So this is not just one side or the other that's been the dominant for the Aces team. They keep playing as well as they have on both sides of the ball. It's going to be darn near impossible to take them out.
Yes, indeed. And Candace Parker recently in their latest win, BJ, notched her 942nd win. I think it's 42nd. I'm scrolling right now. No, 956 wins. Goodness. That's what happens when you try and get it off the
Even
top where you get
yeah,
back to where
even
you were.
more.
256 wins, the ninth most all time, BJ. I was trying to find the all time wins list for the W, but by all accounts, I could not find it. But
Yeah, I
we know
can't.
that Candace Parker is ninth most all time, though. You imagine up there, you probably have the DTs of the world, the Cheryl Swoops, Leslie, Lauren Jackson, maybe Sue Bird, probably up there on those lists,
Mm-hmm.
but not sure exactly where the
If
rest of
if
those
Maya
are.
Moore's career had lasted longer, she'd definitely be higher up there than she is. But I mean,
Yeah.
my goodness, she's probably up there even still, just because of all the success they had. So
And another Candace Parker stat. She is 15th now all time in career steals, tied with Lindsay Whalen at 500 after their last game, I believe,
heck
too.
yeah,
Or
heck
was that
yeah.
the game before? No, that was their last game.
I
Cool.
thought it was the last
I'm
game.
over here
Yeah.
questioning stuff today. But the Aces, BJ, looking real good. Looking real good. I know I backpedaled initially when we gave championship picks and started with Liberty, but shifted to Aces, and I'm glad I shifted. It's not that the Liberty don't have a chance or anything anymore, but I just feel like
Yeah.
I made the right decision now and almost made a
Hey,
mistake.
I
But the
went.
Liberty are really, really a good team. But the Aces are looking like they're trying to go back to back for the first time since it was done back over 20 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say I took the Aces last year, and I was kind of looked at maybe. I don't think it was too crazy, but you were kind of a little bit unsure. But I just wanted to be a little bit different this year. I thought they certainly had the talent to win it again, but I was like, you know what? I'll go and give a different pick because I figured you would take the Aces.
Yeah, I just when I didn't pick it last year, it was just because of the years before. Like it seemed like it was gonna happen then, but it never did. It was one of those I need to believe it before I can go in on them. So, but now they've made me a believer, and I picked the right way this time. And they've got my favorite player on their team. So I mean, I can't lose, right? Right?
Let's do,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
But that's all we got for the WNBA today, Beach. But now it's time to play a little game that you're at the helm of. What's
I
your second
am.
game today?
Yeah, it's my second game today. I'm at the helm of it. It's a little game called With It or Quit It. And I'm not going to bring the music back in like we did last week
Oh,
since unless you want it. I mean, if you do, I'll let you
yeah.
play cuz you picked it. So,
I don't know if it was loud enough on the stream we did it the first time, but I'll
well,
roll with it again.
yeah, go ahead. And whenever you're ready, I
I
think
gotta remember which one it was.
I can't remember if
Oh,
it was it that one?
I don't know. No, no, wait. Ah, it was this.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
the
So,
night stuff. Hey,
yeah.
vibes.
I like it. We like the vibes,
Let's
and we
get it.
like a game called With It or Quit It. I've got 5 questions here for Drew, and he's going to tell me if he's with it or if he's going to quit it. So, Drew, whenever you're ready, we'll start with number one.
Let's get rocking.
All right, Drew. So, what we did last week or the last 2 weeks, I've got some that are going to be things, and you have to tell me if you're with them or quit them. So,
Okay.
but that's not number one. Number one is that South Florida will reign supreme as both the Miami Heat and the Florida Panthers are going to win their respective final series. Are you with it or are you going to quit it?
I'm quitting it because we got Nuggets in 6. So it can't happen. They're both not winning. Whether Florida wins over the Vegas Golden Knights or not, Miami, I don't think is winning. Jokic and Murray just too much.
Yeah,
Quit it.
I'm in agreement with you, but at the same time, I mean, the fact that either one of these teams has gotten where they are, I don't think anybody really saw that coming. So why would you pick against them at this point?
Right.
So, but I'm certainly right there with you. I understand that. So Drew's going to quit number one. Means we're on to number two. So I worded it this way, and I'm going to make an addendum. So number two is strawberries. With it or quit it.
Oh, look at you. I'll go with it because I
Yeah.
generally like strawberries, but I'm not.
Mhm.
I don't just like eat them willy nilly. More of
Okay.
like flavor strawberries. What I
Yeah,
dabble in
that's
more.
that was the addendum that I was going to make. So if you
Okay.
said with it with strawberries themselves, are you with it for the strawberry flavoring? Like like if you went and got like a soda or something, you get like a strawberry syrup in there, or the strawberry syrup in your milk or whatever.
Oh yeah, I'm done with that. I like the strawberry syrup in the milk.
Okay.
But I do favor strawberry syrup. This is one of those scenarios where I do like both. If you just said watermelon, I'd have said no, but I like the watermelon flavor.
Okay.
So,
Interesting. Awesome. Well, good stuff. I guess glad I said strawberries instead of
Yeah.
watermelon though. So, all right, Drew. Number three. Do you watch a little show on FS1 called Undisputed by chance?
not anymore.
Not anymore.
I
guess-
haven't watched it since the Stephen A. days, so it's been a while since
Well, that's
I've seen clips
first
of
take.
Shannon. I've seen clips of Shannon on there, but yeah. I mean, I know the new rendition is Undisputed, but the former duo was Skip and Stephen A.
Yeah.
on a first take. But
Well, the
I've
news came
seen
out. Go ahead.
I've seen some Undisputed, but I don't watch as a regular. No,
Gotcha. Well,
but go ahead.
the news came out that Shannon Sharp is set to leave Undisputed, potentially as early as once the NBA Finals come to an end. So the question, Drew, is with now Stephen A. and Skip Bayless, their partnership is no longer, or they're doing a debate show together. Now Shannon Sharp is leaving Undisputed. Is Skip Bayless going to retire? Skip Bayless will retire now that he is lost two of his debate spat partners, if you will. Are you with it, or are you going to quit it? That this is going to be the end of the debate shows for Skip Bayless.
I'm gonna say quit it because I feel like he refuses to go away. It
It's
probably should
probably
have gone. It probably should have gone away the first time, and I just feel like he's gonna stay around some way somehow. I don't know if it'll be the same type of scenario or what he's gonna get into, but I feel like
mhm.
he's still gonna make his way to our TV screen somehow. He go partner up with Colin Cowherd or something, or just do something
No,
wild.
yeah.
I don't know, but he's still gonna try and be on your TV screens or your YouTube feeds.
Before First Take, he was a really good sports journalist, so that may be something that they have him do. But I don't know. I mean, if he's I've seen a lot of rumors about why the partnership is breaking up, and it was it kind of goes back to a debate that got a little maybe too personal back in December, talking about
Oh
Skip
yeah,
talking about Shannon and comparing him to Tom Brady.
Skip
But
always does too much.
yeah,
That's
and
why I stopped.
I don't think he means to. I don't think he means to go too personal.
I mean,
Because
he knows he does it because I mean, this is the second person he's gone through it with, and he's done the same type of stuff and offending people.
but if you have a conversation and you have an argument, can you make a point without it being personal? I guess is the really.
I mean, you
question.
can, but maybe Skip Bayless doesn't seem that he can.
He doesn't realize when it seems like he doesn't think it's personal, but it actually is kind of personal, I guess.
Yeah.
So. All right. Well, Skip Bayless, Drew thinks we'll be back on our TV screens. Maybe that's a bit.
I don't want him there, but
I was gonna say maybe that's a bit of unfortunate news, but
yeah.
All right. Number 4, Mountain Dew. With it or quit it?
This is a complex question considering how many flavors there are of Mountain Dew. So are we talking the Mountain Dew as a franchise or Mountain Dew the original flavor?
So let's do both. The Mountain Dew original flavor. You can do the franchise. If you have a favorite, like if you like the Baja Blast or
Perfect. I'm ahead
the
of you already.
Code Red or whatever.
So, not really the biggest fan of the original, but I would drink it if I was thirsty and needed a soda. I'm not gonna be like, oh, this is nasty, but it's just not great. Baja Blast is really good. I used to when it first came out, I wasn't into it as a kid, but I've come around on it as I've gotten older. Maybe they did something to it because
same here.
I don't know that there's a whole lot of a difference, but I feel like they put one thing in or took one thing out, and it's a whole lot better.
They put that serum mist in.
Maybe, probably. There was some like blue flavor. I don't know if I was a fan of that one. It was like electric or something.
Oh yeah,
I liked
voltage.
Voltage. I don't think that was too bad. I don't know. I don't remember that one too well. But LimeWire was very good.
Yeah.
The orange one that they had.
Have you Sweet Lightning one?
I don't know. I haven't heard of that one.
I think that's the KFC exclusive. Mountain Dew Sweet Lightning or something.
Only
like
thing
that.
exclusive I've seen with KFC was Starry.
No, I think it's.
No, I haven't heard of this one then. I haven't heard of
it's
this
like
one.
It's like peach. It's like Mountain Dew with peach or something. I think. So maybe be worth at least one try sometime.
Well, the two that I was with these Mountain Dews was Baja Blast and LimeWire. Those are my favorite Mountain Dews.
Awesome. All right.
I think Code Red used to not be too bad, but it's been a long time since I've had it. So.
Good deal. All right, Drew. Number 5. So, don't know. I'm sure you saw this on Sunday. A WNBA record tying streak came to an end with Indiana snapping their 20-game losing streak at Atlanta.
Hey, you heard the Coach of the Year prediction here, Christy Sides. And I want to make a confession. I did low-key accidentally go the wrong way with my prediction, but I'm not mad at it. I meant to say Connecticut's coach, but you'll have that. I'm still rocking with Christy Sides, though. I'm sorry, Christy.
I like it. Yeah,
but
I like
I'm still rocking with y'all.
Well, the question, Drew, now that Indiana's losing streak is over, with Minnesota and Seattle having some struggles this year, are we going to see the record matched again before the end of this? With it or quit it that it will be matched?
I'm going to go quit it. I don't think the teams at the bottom right now will struggle as hard as the Fever did, because the Fever have just been on a near decade-long struggle ever since Tamika Catchings, hung it up. They haven't been able to get it together and be even a above 500 or 400, I believe it was, franchise ever since. But I don't think Seattle will carry on that torch of all that losing. or that Minnesota will. They've got some dynamic players and a big time coach in Cheryl Reeves. So I think Ariel Powers and Nafisa Collier and company will be able to get a win out there here pretty soon. And Jewel Lloyd, with the rate that she's scoring at, she'll get a whole lot of help one night to be able to overcome somebody here pretty soon. So I don't think the streak will last. Let's quit it.
All right, so good mix there with some Withits and some Quiddits. It's kind of what we want around here, Drew, I guess. But that is going to wrap things up for With It or Quit It and for this edition of the Lowdown, Drew.
That is the show, BJ. I mean, what a little bit lengthier than I expected us to today, but
yeah.
we had a good, powerful start with those NBA Finals preview that we gave you guys. Make sure you tune in to that tonight. If you got predictions, feel free to send those our way. We both got Nuggets in 6, so if you got Heat in anything, then you're on the other
Heat in
side of the
7, Heat in
spectrum.
5, Heat in 4.
Yeah. Make sure you guys, in the meantime, if you're not over there shopping at TeePublic or Fanatics, that you're following us on social media at _lowdown. That's THA_lowdown. All the socials up there at the top of your screen up there. You can't see my pen. At the top of your screen, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram content coming out on all those platforms as often as we can. So make sure you're checking those out and sharing and liking any content that you see out there. And make sure you subscribe on YouTube if you're out there watching right now. If you haven't already, make sure you go subscribe over there. Whatever platform you use the most is totally fine with us as well. We appreciate the support and everybody that tuned in to the episode today over on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch as we get things rolling into this. Approaching 100 episodes here pretty soon, not too far away. We'll get it here in the next month, and we've got some guests that are on tap to be lined up. So if you think the WNBA is important and that gives you any kind of hint, we'll have one of those really important guests on here relatively soon. So make sure you stay tuned for that, as well as some more guests lined up. We got a nice list for things coming up here pretty soon. So we appreciate everybody listening in once again. Podcast going to come out tomorrow. This was recorded on a Thursday. And Nuggets in 6.
Nuggets in 6.
Anything else, BJ?
Just thanks, as always, for the support. And, we'll see you next week for another exciting installment of The Lowdown.